March 1st. I can't believe it. Where'd the year go? Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California, and today's a garden tour. We're almost in spring. Well, we got 3 more weeks. And let me tell you something. We wouldn't know because today it's right now 70 degrees. It's in the morning, but it's very bright. We're going to hit, they say, 87 degrees, and then we're going to drop next week back into 50s, 60s. It has been a roller coaster of weather, and we've gone through this before. That's why I've got to be really careful on when I want to start and not start. So I'm going to start the garden tour in my chair garden. And I know it's hard to see. It's in the shade this time in the morning, but that's okay. In about a month or two, the sun is going to come above this tree. So it'll be more in the sky up there, and it will get much more sun than it gets. So it's too early for me to even think about watermelon, but it's not too early for tomatoes and peppers and greens and lettuce. And, well, I might do beets or carrots or something like that. So looking at all this, you can see I haven't done anything. Oh, how beautiful. I now know what this is. I thought, what in the world? We don't have hornworms. Would eat the little leaves off. I know. Look at all this. You'll see that hopefully within the next month to 2 months, it's going to change drastically. Nothing's planted in here. Well, there's a tomato again. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. But all in all, I'm really happy with it. The pots are doing fantastic. Do you remember when I planted the little tiny celery? Weeks ago? Look how big they've gotten. Nothing eats celery, so that's a good thing. I'm not sure if something's eating my oregano because that one's not covered. And that piece that I put in there is covered. And look how much more there is. Got some Swiss chard in there. There's a little piece of geranium and more celery down on the bottom there. So the lettuce is doing good here, and the peppers. I now know what's been eating the peppers too, and we'll get into that in a second. But the lettuce has been doing great. A lot of this celery, I'm going to move it into flower pots that you see down here. And you can go to a dollar store and get their trash cans, and as long as they have a triangle with a 5 or a 2 or whatever, you're okay. If they're made in China, and if they don't have a triangle, find something with a triangle, because the ones with the triangle are reusable. I've never seen a 3. That's the one you don't use. I've never seen a 3. But the ones that are made here, well, I can tell you a story on that one. They're good. I can see that a lot of our plastics over the years have been sent to China. They're sending it back because I went to a store the other day. They had bowls and everything, and they all had tags on it that they had no triangles. You could smell the plastic. It smelled like plastic. And it said that you have to be careful because it was not the good plastic. So these are Sterlite. Rubbermaid's good. There's other brands that are good as far as totes. I have not had a bad tote yet. They're not shipping totes from other countries. I haven't seen any. So the totes are great. You just have to look at the flower pots. I went to buy a couple flower pots. They were like $1.50. But because they too had that label on there, a warning label, I decided not to. I'll just get them like I've been getting from the florist. I'll go to the Dollar Tree or a 99-cent store. They have been good. Get trash cans there or flower pots there. Most of those have been better. And just in case I want to plant food, if I was doing just flowers, it would be fine. But I do want to plant celery and lettuce and different things, and some of them down here, maybe parsley. What's been nibbling on this? We have a herd of deer that come through here. We had 6 the other day. They kind of mosey on through. They go and get some water. I don't know. Oh, look at the bird down there. I don't know if they're eating any of the algae that's growing in there because the bathtub doesn't have any more algae, which is interesting. So they might be foraging a little bit on that. Maybe they got a taste to it. Just kind of disappeared. And then the other ones still have. So it's been really, see the goldfinch? See what he's doing? I think there's sow thistle there. We'll walk over and take a look. Can you see him right in front of us? What he's doing? Sow thistle is very, very important to goldfinches. Oh my goodness, look at my shadow. I'm right here. He doesn't care. He either doesn't care or he's desperate enough. Isn't that cute? I love goldfinches. You know, I've talked about this before. When Gary first got here, he was so excited. 30 years ago plus. He's going to go over there. I just put the rebar there. I'm going to put some plants around there to see a goldfinch because we rarely had goldfinches. Now, like hummingbirds, we have a ton of them. I'm not sure if he's going to get water, the goldfinch, but as I was saying, see the blanket algae? I think that's what they call it. It's been disappearing here. Now, the Cooper Hawks and a red tail have come down to take baths. So I don't know if it's just a die-off because it is there, but notice here, and I've seen the deer here, they may be nibbling on it. It might taste good. Don't know that much about deer and what they eat, so we'll see. Here, I haven't seen the deer go here, but you know, who knows? You can see the fish moving around. The fish keep all the mosquito larvae down, which has been fantastic. And this one, I do want to get a solar fountain in here. I have an idea of how I'm going to make it. Really easy. I'm just debating on a few different either food containers because I love repurposing things. So I'm not sure yet what I'm going to put in there, but I picked up a really cute little thing that I can put a fountain in and then set up here too at the thrift store. This, I'm not sure. I don't think this isn't mustard. Oh, I forgot. Wild rocket is growing through here. I'm leaving that. I don't know what eats it, but the bees go all over it. And I think it looks really cool. And here I'm going to plant kind of like a little meadow. So things can hang out here, lizards and stuff, and then they can go get water. And this will all be fixed up slowly. As you know, I'm done with this. Now I am still doing some of the totes. I will be getting rid of a lot of the squash that's here because this is last year's. Going to leave the geraniums, and I'm getting all these totes prepped and ready to go. So this is ready. There's nothing in it. This one's ready, you know, by putting all the sticks and everything in. And this one I picked up at the thrift store, $1.99. Walmart used to have these gray totes for $5 last year. Their price goes up and down. So I've seen them at $5. I saw them last week at Home Depot. They had them for $2.68. They sold out right away. $2.68. Probably wanted to get rid of the kind of a minty green with a red lid. I didn't get it. I had some other ones I bought. They still have it. I shouldn't say because I may get another set. Walmart's got a set of 6 right now. Sterilite in a deep green. It's beautiful. I think they call it elf green. And it's $44 for 6 of them. So it's about $7.50. But they're gorgeous, and they'll last for years and years. You can plant one at a time. The only one that's really set up, because these are not set up, I got to get the plants out, is this. That is my zucchini. I started in the house. It was a cover that I did need. I put some tulle over here. I want it to get bigger. I don't want the birds to eat it, and I don't want the deer to eat it. And you know, they've passed it by. So maybe the tulle will work for deer. I don't know. I sure hope so. This is last year's squash. It will be going. Don't throw a lot of fruit. No, it's not. And then these are all seeds that are coming up just in the compost. All this, see? Last year's fruit. So I'm going to leave them right now. There's really too many plants. Really, I wouldn't want more than 2 plants in here in an 18-gallon tote when it comes to a heavy feeder like a squash. It's going to be a hybrid. So for now, since I don't have any other seeds ready to go in here, I'll leave them. If they surprise me and they grow something nice before I get something in there, then fabulous. If not, they turn into soil. This year I'll get to this. Didn't get to this year or last year. Same thing here. The totes are here. Do as I say, not as I do. Do not leave empty totes around. They do dry out and they can crack that way. As long as there's soil sitting in them, like here, they rarely crack. They'll go for 5-6 years. They'll go forever. Even the raised beds you buy, those like $150 4-foot, 6-foot raised beds, are plastic. Same thing. You leave them outside in the sun, nothing in it. They'll go to, back to, well, not back to the earth, but they'll dry out and crack too. This will all come out. I know the plant is trying, but I want to get this year a variety of small, boy, these are nice. A variety of small tomatoes, and I don't know if this plant will make a comeback. If that one makes a comeback, I may leave it. But I can plant something new in there, and then I've got all these. This is the way you can stack them. If you want to stack totes, then what you want to do is make sure the ones on the bottom are the heavy-duty ones. These are bigger than 18-gallon. I think they're 27-gallon. I caught them on sale for $10. You have to really look. They do put totes on sale. Let me explain really quick. Totes are used for storing clothes, things you want to put in the garage. The ones I buy, the Sterilite, the Rubbermaid, the lighter ones, you can stack a few of them as long as there's not a lot of stuff. They don't take a ton of weight. So they are perfect to put on the ground. These take a ton of weight. You could put all kinds of tools and different things in them, and stack them to the ceiling in the garage. So if you want to stack them, I wouldn't go more than what I did here. I think this was the perfect height. You could put one more in the middle if you wanted to, but then you shade the middle one a lot. You would get the heavy duty ones, catch them when they're on sale. And as I was saying with the lighter ones, there's 2 times of the year they have a ton of them. It seems like towards the end of summer, middle of summer, they start selling them like mad, all different colors, because the college students who are driving to their new dorms and places use that to pack their clothes, their books, everything they need, all their essentials in there. They throw them in their cars and they take them with them. So they come out with all kinds of colors. In fact, Sterilite once said they have colors that are asked to be done maybe from certain colleges, college colors. They make them all and then they have a ton of them. That's why they have these odd colors all of a sudden and then they blow them out. They have blown them out as cheap as $4 a piece, brand new, with lids. I love my lids, and we're going to get into a ton of lid stuff. So the best time to start looking for totes is at the middle of summer into maybe fall, and start buying them for spring if you're not growing then. Keep that in mind. You know what? Let's keep walking because I haven't done anything here. Isn't this beautiful? I can't even remember when this came up. I know I've said it came up from seed in the winter, but it really didn't because it was all over the ground and I didn't know what it was until I stood it up like that. Just took a lattice I had, stuck it in the back, and it was like, wow, that's what it is. So it came up probably in the spring. Oh, it's definitely from seed because I didn't plant it. And that's a variety that's just hybridized in the yard. And my gosh, it is so good. I picked a ton of them yesterday for dinner. So that's one plant. One plant that's set off of, it just sent a bunch, and there's a new shoot off of it. A whole bunch of shoots off of it, all different directions, and it's just been doing good. That's my potatoes. So I'm going to walk through here quickly. That's part of my refrigerator that just died. Oi, look at this. Last year's zucchini. I know. You know why this took off? Because the other day I had a bucket of kitchen scraps that had been sitting out in the rain. This one's going to probably take off too. And I didn't want it was waterlogged. So I dumped it in here and it just started taking off because it had all that compost in there rotting from the kitchen scraps, and it just, boom, bursted into life. You know, let me tell you something on these dippers, and I do make my own. I have a video on how to make these. If you're in California, there's a store called Daiso. Actually went there yesterday and they've got them. And they're $1.50 a piece. Now, I don't know how good the plastic is, but you know what? For just hand watering, it doesn't matter. But they've got them, and I like the one that they have that's in one piece. I've never had one break. I've had them for years. Look at that. So if you've got a Daiso, check them out if you're looking for dippers. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? The butterfly. And I do know they've got them. They're bringing them in for spring gardening. Let's keep walking because I have not touched this. All I do here is water. I make sure I water, even if I don't want the plants. Even that empty pot there, I water because I know there's earthworms around there. I want the microbes and everything to stay alive. That one I never even set up last year. So that's what I do. I just water everything, keep it alive, and then I'll tear all this apart and I'll keep going. Now, bear with me. A lot of you know we had COVID. And the thing is, we're over it, but I've got that thing where my throat gets dry. I looked it up again last night and they said, yeah, that's common. And they told me it could take quite a few months to go away. So I think I'm doing pretty good. So just that's why I might squeak once in a while because that's just my voice. So all in all, here I have done nothing. But I'm going to have buckets set up. And here, pretty much all the totes are on the ground. Look, you can even take an old bird cage and put a container on top, and you've got a mini raised bed. There's a chair I found out in the trash. It's not even one of those garden chairs. There's another one I found out in the trash. And then you can paint it or get a big bucket on top. You won't even see the chair. It'd be really, really cool. So look around. People throw them away. And that's it. So I'm going to, kind of analyze what I want to do this year, and then I'll get in here. But I wanted to finish, the birds are nesting already. I wanted to finish the wall garden way down there. Then I'll do the driveway. The chair garden's pretty much done. It's just a matter of getting the plants in there. And being that we're going to drop down again, if it goes into the upper 30s or 40s next week, I don't know if they're predicting that yet, then my plants won't make it. And I mean, it's fine. My plants will go back and turn into soil, but then I've got all that extra work that I did and then starting over. But I am starting seeds in the house now. So, and I'll probably pick up some plants. I went to the nursery the other day and they had them on sale. They had some for $3 for $10, I think it was, but they look so bad. I don't think they're taking care of them. So many of them were dead. Don't buy plants that look bad unless they're giving them to you, because so many of them, when they're stressed and not being watered or left in the sun and they're dried out, they're not kind of like house plants that you can bring them in the house and baby them and they'll make a comeback, because those are perennials. They're going to try to live. These annuals, if they look bad, they may not come back. Don't waste your money on that. So I didn't buy any, but if I saw some nice, I probably would have bought some. I would like to get some Sun Golds and a few other small variety of tomatoes. I don't grow a lot of big ones. There's an old one down there, you probably can see it, where I've got some big ones left. I don't know, we didn't pick them. And I don't even want the seeds to grow because it was called a Goliath, though that plant is 2 years old. It takes a long time for a big tomato to ripen. When you have cherry tomatoes or a small variety, they don't stop ripening. They grow so fast. They go from this size. Look, this plant's almost dead. And then they just take off. So that's the thing, is you have a constant supply of tomatoes. So if you're getting tomatoes, especially for the first time, if you want to go into the early girl, beefsteak, big boy, all those, the big ones, get a couple, one or two small varieties. So if something happens to them, then you know that you've got tomatoes. Otherwise, some of the plants only have like 3 tomatoes. Some can have more, but if something takes them before you get them, because you're not the only ones watching them. You've got critters out there that are watching them too. When they get really close to being ripe, you may run out there and they won't be there. Let's go in the front yard. Like I said, there's nothing to see here yet. This is just going to be something I'm going to go down with my new wheelbarrow. I'm going to collect all the dying brown leaves off, yellow leaves, and then I'm just going to go to town in here. And this should be so cool. I love this. And it's not too bad to water, because all I have to do is take the hose and just do one walkthrough all the way down, because it's in a row. If I had it all over the place, then it would be a lot more maintenance. My chair garden literally takes me 1 to 2 minutes to do, if that. This takes me longer because I have to walk a whole length. If all these were in one area, like a horseshoe, I'd have it all done quicker. But you know, I enjoy coming out here and walking and doing the garden. Okay, let's go in the front yard. I now have 3. Yes, I got myself another wheelbarrow. Here's the thing. I am using that and it is making my life easier. So when I mentioned it to Gary, Gary said, hey, if you want 3, just buy another one. And I did. And it came yesterday. And you can see I haven't used it yet. This is the front yard. I'm going to go through the totes here. If they're draining really, really well, I probably won't do anything but top it out with some leaves and start planting. I'm starting my seeds, and once I get the seeds going, I will decide what I'm going to do. Now, I've got some plants that are doing really, really well. Let's grab that piece off for Kitty. This is probably, well, some of them were broccolini, so that could be a broccolini, and this may be the same thing, or it just could be, it could be a hybrid kale that is going to seed. She eats it. It tastes like broccoli, so it's really good. I'll probably clean this whole thing up, get all the tomatoes out. Look at this. Oh no, that's got a lot of spikes on it. Ouch, this is thistle. This is something else. Okay. No, that's not sow thistle. That's another type of thistle, I believe. We used to have a lot of that around the property, variegated. It took a couple years to just keep pulling them and get rid of them. They're spiky. That is going to go. I'm going to compost that. Okay, so the finger lime is doing okay. We're still getting limes. That's really small. But oh, this we don't want. Pop out, pop out. Let's see if we can get it out. You know what that is? And that we do not want. This is that. It drops its seeds. And then I end up with palm trees all over. So I just pull them out. Okay, as I said, there's nothing done in here, so we're going to keep going. The plants in here are doing really good. The geraniums, the blueberries are trying to make a comeback. I want to move them out. This is a cutting from the purple tree colored. I'll probably move that out. And yes, there's those dreaded buckets. I've got use for those. I am moving them little by little. If you can remember, there was like double the amount. Half of them are gone. Since it's got soil from around here, you know, when I move things around, I just throw it in there. So, and it came out of some of the totes a while back. I'm actually using that as I set up, and I'm going to end up using that to plant a lot of stuff in. So that I'm not going to get rid of, but it should be gone. I would think in 2 weeks it should be gone. So let's see. Now Gary brought some wood chips up. He's probably going to dump them around the bottom. Remember, the front yard, all this here, let me step back, is blacktop. That's what it is. This was a parking area, and we don't park here. So Gary threw a bunch of wood chips, and then, of course, the pine needles fall. So we've got kind of a 2-inch layer of soil. It's creating its own soil, and there are things growing in the ground. You know, some of the geraniums fell in and have grown in there, but it's not intentional. It's just something that happens. Okay, he's been picking elephant food and moving it around. This is not planted here. There's my geraniums there. This is kind of lifted up. I want to change that around. He hasn't gotten back to this, but he bought some plants. Oh, look. His grape plants are coming from the bottom. He got them for half price at the store, and then he bought an olive tree. This is his thing, not mine. Okay, let's turn around here. I have to get into this. Oh, look, celery. Celery here grows everywhere like a weed. I've got to get into my ginger and turmeric. The stevia is already making a comeback from the bottom. See, that's what I told you. Let me move this. See? Spring is here, and now it's going to make a comeback. This I will leave. I will trim all this back very, very soon. And then I'm going to bring my new wheelbarrow over here, and I'm going to start dumping. Now, I know some of them are turmeric because they're in orange, and that's how I planted them. Then I've got the black turmeric that I planted in the blue. I also labeled some of them, and then I've got ginger in all the rest. See the ginger? I don't want it to grow yet. I want to get them out. Oh, look at this. It's just laying on the top. Not good. So I want to get this all out, replanted, reset up, and there's so much in there that the pots are bending. So I'll just dump it, go through it. I'll take you with me. And then I want to replant. I want to replant there. And I'm probably going to set up another ginger table in the backyard somewhere. Maybe around my chair garden or something, because there's going to be so much. I want to freeze some. We'll use a lot fresh. And then I will pack some away until I know the weather is stable enough to grow them. But right now, they are just surviving in here. See, they're in soil. It's just barely damp, so they're not rotting. And if I don't get to them, I didn't get to some of them last year, they'll just regrow. But this is what happens. It's just, see how they actually bent the pot? It's just so packed. And in here, I've got some turmeric and who knows what else. I don't think I'm going to redo that one. I think I'm just going to pull the dead leaves out and then just go for it and just leave it the way it is. But those I have to get to. All right, let's go into the bird garden. No, I have done nothing in here. Nothing has been done in here. I'm throwing leaves and stuff in here and eggshells. When I bring kitchen scraps out, I don't know where to put it. It gets dumped in here. That tree colored is broke. It got so big. So I'm going to have to trim that back. It's actually leaning on a chair. Isn't that something? There's purple tree colored back there. And then a lot of this that you see here is dinosaur kale, and it's off the original one that was along the back. It's not there anymore. It's gone. Had a little bit of remnants left from it. Would have been 5 years old, but it lasted for years. It went for about a good 4 years. But I did a lot of cuttings, and these are cuttings off the original plant. I haven't grown any of this from seed or bought any of it. Okay. I don't know what that was. Oh, it's a woodpecker in the tree. He's in the avocado tree down there. Okay, so here is probably broccolini. This is a mushroom plant. Got to clean all this up. Like I said, I have done nothing. These totes, by the way, are about 5 years old. I have done nothing in this garden because I've been working on everything else. This is a hybrid collard kale that I grew. I put a cutting in there. It's doing fantastic. Another tree collard, just the green one. And look at the dragon fruit. It's just going everywhere. It's literally winding around. You see that? It's just going everywhere it can go. So I'm going to have to do some cuttings myself and move it around. Or Gary can take more cuttings and put them wherever he's growing some. And then, of course, my zinnias are doing really, really well. These are the ones from seed. So I'm going to have a lot of zinnias. I'm planting those all over. This is where I feed the birds. And I do have plans on cleaning this up. I have seen the occasional hawk come through, the small hawks, sparrowhawks, or sharpshins. So I want to kind of put a cross beam across here with some of the branches I brought in here, because I want to make it difficult for them to come in. I mean, think about it. They pick them up on the hillsides when they have to. I mean, they eat birds, so I'm not really crazy about sharpshins. But the thing is, if I can block them a little bit, then they'll go somewhere else, and that's what I want. You just make it like if a bird sits here to eat and they were sitting over there, it would be harder for them to get in. I'll show you what I'm talking about as we go into the next garden. But this is doing really good. That's just some plants in pots that we got from Home Depot and Lowe's. There's a few of them around. And I plan on getting that either in the ground or bigger pots. That's my favorite water feature. A bucket, a tray, and a cement dome that I made. See the hummingbird and the flower? I've got the video on that. I love that. That is so beautiful. The birds love it. They sit on that. I mean, it's so easy. Or what can you do? Well, that one's in the shade right now. But that's a rock one back there. You can make them so simple. You get one of those solar fountains. Right now, I think they're still running for about 10, 12 bucks. And you get the kit. You get the whole thing. Don't buy the round disc unless that's what you want. But you get the whole thing. You get the pump and all the different sprayers, which I don't use. I just let them kind of flow through like that. You get the solar panels, which is up on the top. That one's on a sour cream container. Some of them are just strapped onto tomato stakes. You can do it any way you want. And you get the whole thing where you can just put it anywhere you want. I mean, this is a globe, a kid's globe, half a globe with a bowl and some rocks. It's the easiest thing, and they're so cheap. A pump like that for our electric fountain costs sometimes about $60. Can you imagine? And that has to be plugged in. All these that you're looking at down there, all the ones on the top, all those buckets, doesn't cost me any electricity. The sun, Mother Nature pays for that. Even that one's electric. I only have 2 electric ones. Here's one that was electric. I just took the pump out. I think I found it at the thrift store and the pump wasn't working. I can't remember where I got it. But here's the panel just sitting on top of this little contraption I made. And it's so easy to convert the ones that are electric into solar. I can show you real quick how it's done. This whole unit comes off. We'll get into a lot of this in the next month or so as the weather changes and we're all putting our solar fountains out. This is how easy it is. There's no pipe or anything. It's just the bowl it came with. Wire goes through here. Here's the solar panel right here. And this unit, let's see how it goes. And then the water comes through the side. See if I can put it back. Yeah, and the water is trickling down through here. Okay. And the birds come and sit on there and they take a drink. This is one that we found in the trash. Same concept. It had an electric pump, which we threw away. It was broke. The people threw this away because it stopped working. There's my solar panel up there, some rocks, and the same thing, the unit's there. We don't need any pipes or anything. Just hook it up. You don't even need to go to the fish store, tropical fish store, and get any pipes. And then this one, oh, I forgot to put water in that. This one is just an angel. I picked that up at the thrift store, and I simply have the whole unit in there just as it is. Nothing else bought. Just that and the panel, and I think the panel might be in the shade under the collard leaf. And that cleans these. You can use a little vinegar if you wanted to clean your cement statue bird fountain out. A little Brillo pad, well, one without soap, just one of those stainless steel cleaners. You just scrub it out and you can clean it. This one may need a little more work. That's it. And this one does need cleaning. We get a lot of algae. Algae does not hurt birds. Let's see if we can get that going. That's it. Just needed a start by wiping my hand on top. And now there it goes. See, and that's nothing but the unit just sitting in there with some rocks holding it stable. We'll get into a whole lot of solar fountains, ask questions, and we'll get into it because I do them in buckets. I do them all over. But let's get back on with the garden tour. And then, like I said, this is all the greens. This is a hybrid also. I love these. These are so beautiful. Look how beautiful they are. Deep green and really gorgeous. It's a hybrid between, I think it's a three-way cross. I think that a collard got fertilized by a dazzling blue kale, and then when my dinosaur kale started to sprout and have seeds, I should say, when it went to seed, I think it bred again because it's some of them have purple, which makes me think it's coming from three because I can see the dinosaur kale in it, and I can see the collard in it, and I do see the dazzling blue kale, so I think it's a three-way. It doesn't matter. It's wonderful. I gave some to my daughter. I've got it growing all over. Here, I haven't set anything up yet. We'll get to this soon. But this is lemon balm and then celery. I want to clean this up because I want to get the celery out. It takes way, way too much. And I need to move some of these totes. Remember, we were doing some work around here. Gary had some plumbing stuff we were doing, so things got moved. And they haven't got moved back because I don't know where I want them. In fact, I'm thinking of setting up a different type of garden in here, moving this, and this is what I was saying. When the birds feed in here, see they emptied this already? No hawk can get them. They can go through the wire, the house finches and all the different birds can go through the wire, but no hawk can get them because they swoop, and they can't swoop there. So that's basically it. I haven't really done anything. We're starting to move a few things around. I love this. And this also keeps coming up from cuttings. I've done a few cuttings. Nothing done here and nothing done in Gary's room yet, but I hope to get some seeds in there really soon. He's got a few things, but not much. All right, let's go out into the rainbow garden. And these are old. Some of them are starting to go. You know, I saw them at the 99-cent store if you're looking for them. This is a strawberry tower, and they did have them the other day. And this is the moringa that came up. I threw some seeds in there, remember? I think last year. And this moringa is gone. Gary chopped it out. Wanted to move things around that I've got. I may plant in that later and kind of set things up differently, even in the bird garden. So I said, let's move this over here. We can store things in it, or I can plant in it. Get rid of the moringa because it was just so big. I couldn't get to the leaves anyways. Concentrate on the smaller ones if I want leaves and get some smaller ones around. And it opened up a lot of areas. But this, I want to open this whole thing up. I'm going to leave the papayas because we still are getting papayas off of this. And though they broke my 18-gallon tote to nothing, they stretched it and broke it. We still are getting papayas and flowers. So I want to cater to this. I'll probably get some totes around here. And if the totes are on the ground or even on chairs, it will feed the papaya. Papayas are heavy feeders. And you know that. We've talked about that so much. Let's walk out here and I'll tell you why. Think about the fruit. They're massive. And when they fall and hit the ground, they're mushy. And they break down. And they get moldy and rotten. And guess what? That's what the plants want. They're suffering from the heat right now. That is what they want. They want that rotting matter. You can throw leaves down there, but they need even more than that. So it's just going to be fantastic to try to feed the one in my bird garden. One got damaged probably from the cold. I'm going to probably put some more papaya in here. And then I'm going to have to do something different because I didn't realize that the deer were coming in and eating what I was putting in here. This is one of their favorite places to kind of graze. Not only that, look what they did. I couldn't figure out, I know the coyotes come through and they roll in it, but this got smashed to pieces. All broken and flattened when I came out here last week. And I looked at it and Gary said, coyotes? I said, I don't think so. Whatever was in there was a whole lot bigger than that. And then we saw them. The deer come out here and they roll in that and they make that into a bed at night and sleep here, some of them. Now it smells. You know what rosemary smells like. So what is going on probably is they can roll in it and maybe get rid of some ticks and fleas on them so they like it. Hail damage from all that hail we had. See what it does? It damages the fruit and then the fruit gives off a latex, kind of fills in the holes and protects the fruit. It looks terrible, but it will protect the fruit until it's done. And all you have to do when it ripens is just wash it off. Okay, the rainbow garden. I will be tackling that soon, but I did do the strawberry tower. That I finished and I'm happy with it. I love my strawberry tower. That is a swivel chair. Got it at the thrift store. This is a totelet it's sitting on. There is a seat there. I took the actual seat off, but it's sitting on the metal from the seat. And look at this. I can turn it. Isn't that cool? Can you imagine putting something like this on a deck? I am very happy with it. The only mistake I made last year, and it was a mistake, was I planted a celery here. Now that was fine, but it set its roots out because celery's got such a massive root system. So I changed it. Now I put a strawberry here. So now when I water this, it waters this, and it just is a trickle down system. But I still go through with watering can and just water a little bit. I'm gonna get that cleaned up, get something in there. And then in here, I haven't done anything. I only have a few totes to do. Gonna do this one. You know, this is my little 2 system. I don't think I can pull it apart with one hand, but you got the idea. Well, you can't see. There are earthworms there. Oh, they're dashing in there. So I'm gonna redo this tote. This is broccolini. So I'm not sure yet. Let me step back so you can see it. I may redo the broccolini and take it out too. I'll see if I start some more broccolini and go, from new, or if I just trim it down. But this one's going to be redone. This is going to be redone. This will be redone. Same thing. There's broccolini in there. And this one. Now this is going to stay. This is the pepinos. Remember I used to tell you how I did not like pepinos? Guess what? I've eaten them and I like them. Just taking some of the leaves and dropping it back in. I really do. I bring them in when I'm making dinner. I'll bring one in and I'll slice it up. What I do is I peel it first with a carrot peeler, and then I slice it up. These don't have seeds. They're not fertile. So I have to grow them by cuttings. The plant is not fertile. Slice them up, and then if you want to make a little fruit salad, grab a few strawberries, and just slice it up, and you take it, take a little bit with your dinner. It is so good. So this is staying. And then, of course, my dinosaur kale is doing beautiful. And then I've got a pepper plant. Seems like the 3 in there are doing really, really well. I'm going to leave that. I was going to take this apart, but I realized it's reseeded the mustard. See, there's another purple mustard there. Maybe get the celery out. This is leeks. And then this is the old mustard in here. Now you never toss this out. See the earthworms in there? I'm hoping you can see it. What you do if you want to get rid of the plant is just leave it, pull it out so it dies out, but leave that there and the worms will move up and down. And here I know I can't get this apart. Oh, maybe I can. Oh my gosh. All kinds of stuff in there doing exactly what I want them to do. You know what? I probably will just leave the mustard and let the mustard come back because Gary loves the purple mustard. It's already reseeded. The celery, if I want this celery, then I will clean this all up and just leave the celery. So I could have that one going with celery. I love celery. I use it for green drinks. I use it for everything. Celery tastes fantastic. I'm going to leave the pepinos. I may end up leaving that. But here I've got, this has got the asparagus. This is kind of an experiment. Will I really get asparagus this spring? I got some last year. This is from my deck garden. I grew it from seed. They're actually purple passion, I think they're called. And Gary brought the seeds in, and then when they all grew, he took them from me. This one got left on the deck. On the upside down shallow planters, those real shallow ones, I don't like them. They're so expensive and they're not worth it. I don't even think they make them anymore. And I did get some purple asparagus out of them. So I wanted to see if this would work. Now the options I have here is I could pull the whole thing out. See the crown is in there? I could pull the whole thing out and give it to Gary and let him plant in his garden. I could find the place for it in the ground that there's no rabbits. I heard rabbits now around our property have decided asparagus tastes really good. Plant it in the ground or leave it in the tote this year. Get rid of maybe get rid of the broccoli and then see it, if it grows really good. And if it doesn't, get rid of it. This will be redone and replanted. And this was my cold frame. And I left a lot of stuff in there growing. So I'm probably going to redo that or move it. It actually wasn't supposed to be there. Let me step back out of the sun. That was just a temporary setup and I left it. So I'll decide if I'm going to leave it as I get to it. Isn't this cool? All these buckets, I haven't gotten to them yet. But what I'm going to do is put holes in all of them and I'm going to plant in them. So this way I'm not dealing with water. If I've got that much water filling up buckets, then I am watering way too much. The containers, the 18-gallon totes that are on these chairs, they're about 1 inch to 2 inches up the hole. So there's always a reservoir of water on the bottom. And if it gets really hot, the plants can send their roots to the bottom. But if I'm filling up a bucket every couple days, then I'm watering way too much. So what I'm going to do is put holes and I'm going to plant things. Maybe I will move that celery there. Haven't had the rabbits really eat celery. And move a couple things around in the buckets that hopefully the rabbits won't eat. I've got a couple rabbits that do live here. So we'll have to see. But that's what's going to happen real soon. I did it in the chair garden and I'm going to do it here. I really like it. And then my pizza garden. The bucket system. Look at this. It's a vertical garden. And let me tell you something. The sage, the purple basil, the green basil, I've got rosemary in there, is all doing great. The tomatoes have died back. So I'm going to take the tomatoes out. Look at the rosemary back here. Is that cool? Deer can't get that. They're not going to bother with this. And then in here, I've got a basil in here. This one's got green and purple basil. And I was going to pull the peppers out and start new, but I'm looking at them. And they're making a comeback. And there's even flowers starting. So I'm going to trim it really good, trim it back. And this is not being taken apart at all. I'm not touching it. All I'm going to do is throw in leaves. And probably from another tote. Throw some soil on top that comes out of a tote. I can even grab some from the ground. Just cover that so it will break down and let it keep growing because it's all draining perfectly. The whole system's doing good. All I have to do is water the yellow one. And then there's holes and it goes into the red buckets. And then each red bucket has holes on both sides. So this red bucket here feeds the orange and yellow one. And this red bucket feeds the yellow and orange, which means that yellow is getting double, which is good. It's been doing fantastic. And remember, I told you this cannot go over because this stake here goes all the way through. Go watch the video how I made this to the bottom. It's all notched. It's all fit together like a puzzle. This stake too, as you can see, is down there as well. Literally, I made it like a puzzle. And in this mess here, I didn't get to it last year. I've got to get this bucket system, this vertical garden set up. And then that's a 30-gallon tote on 2 chairs. And that's going to be set up very, very special for me. And then I've got to get into my potato mint. I can take that out anytime. They grow little potatoes. You can eat those raw or cook them. And they taste like potatoes. That's what that is. It died back for the winter, and that's what it's supposed to do. This moringa is still there. It kind of hangs on. I'm going to leave it. And I need to clean up my strawberries there. But this is going to be great because I'm going to set this up very special. I was going to do it last year, but I didn't get to it. And see how you can use 2 chairs for a 30-gallon tote? I got this one at the thrift store for $4 or $5. This one's a 33-gallon tote. Somebody said, oh, get those labels off. They bother me. But I like leaving some labels so I can show you what they are. And this is just wonderful. So that's the last setup I've got to do in here. And everything else is done besides the buckets. And then I've got my little solar panel. See, here's the solar thing. Made this out of cement. Used a milk carton. Put leaves. Isn't that beautiful? And then you can get the tubing at any tropical fish store. They've got the tubing, or you can buy it online. There's the bucket. The solar pump is in there. And there is my solar panel. See, when you cover it, it goes off. And this is actually on a piece of bark, just a piece of, branch from a tree. See how I just tied it on the top? You can do it any way you want. And that's it. It works fantastic. And then, of course, these troughs. Now, I don't know how much they cost now, but last year I bought these at Walmart online. They were $5 each. And I don't know. I haven't seen them again for $5, so you'd have to check it. But I think they did go up. But that's also 18 gallons, 17 or 18 gallons, and that works perfect. So I think we will finish up the garden tour here. I'm very pleased. I'm really happy with everything. I hope I've given you some ideas as we walk through. And we'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks because I'm really going to town now because I think our weather is going to be a little bit stable. We're almost there. We're going to cool down next week, but we'll see how it goes. So leave your questions underneath. And if some of you know the answers to the subs that are writing under there, or whoever you are, if they're writing something, you go, oh, I know, answer them for me. I'd be so happy. And then when I come through, if I've got a different opinion and your opinion is nice and sweet, nothing nasty, of course I will leave your opinion because your opinion is important to me, just like it's important to you. And I can give my opinion there too. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to work because we are having beautiful, beautiful weather. Have a wonderful day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. Now, this is Kitty's old garden, if you remember it. And this is cuttings off of some different kale I've got around here. But this is the broccolini, I believe, that took off. Look at all of that. And I'll bring her some pieces in. Going to clean this up so she has her own garden, because you know how she loves her broccoli. So we'll get this to her as well, and we'll get that fixed up for this spring.